Justice Department weaponized bipartisan gun safety law to illegally fund red flag laws, Republicans say. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this one gets pretty spicy. There's a letter included. And if you've ever written an email and it's like you were responding to someone, you're like, per my last email, that's exactly the vibe I got from this letter. So take a look at the description box. It's linked below. I'm telling you, this stuff is spicy. Republicans and gun rights activists say that Biden administration unlawfully handed out federal funds to states that did not qualify under the program intended to promote so-called red flag laws. Now, in 2022, you guys probably remember the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. You probably remember it. The law incentivizes the states to pass extreme risk protection laws, as also called red flag laws, that allow members of the public and law enforcement to petition courts for a civil order to temporarily suspend a person's access to firearms for fear that the person might do violence. Now, after gun rights advocates raised Second Amendment concerns, now here's the key part right here. Congress included requirements that states applying for the federal grants to implement red flag laws include certain due process protections. So right there, if you are not going against the Second Amendment, you have to have these certain due process protections. They go hand in hand. If you are going to push this, you have to do these laws and you have to meet these requirements. Senator Roger Marshall and many others say that the letter to the Attorney General Merrick Garland that the Justice Department has handed federal funds to states, now listen to this, that did not meet the minimum process criteria. The letter accuses the Biden administration of ignoring Congress and demands to know why at least 8 states and territories with no red flag laws on their books nevertheless received federal funds under the DOJ program. The letter was signed by 7 GOP senators and 26 House lawmakers. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to dive into some of this because, let me tell you, it's like getting a spanking in front of your friends. Since the passage of the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, no states have revised their statutes to comply with the due process requirements imposed by the 117th Congress. Nevertheless, the Bureau of Justice Programs has funded every state that applied with a red flag gun confiscation law on the books without enforcing Congress's due process requirement. The federal government should have no part in funding state-level gun confiscation programs, which violates the due process rights of gun owners. Ladies and gentlemen, this even gets spicier. Take a look. Furthermore, the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act's intent was not to require or incentivize states to adopt red flag laws. It is also unlawful, get that, it is unlawful to use federal grants to pay for lobbying efforts to influence, let me read that over. It is also unlawful being the key here, to use federal grants to pay for lobbying efforts to influence adoption of any legislation or law. To avoid any confusion, and this is where the per my last email, y'all gotta listen to this. To avoid any confusion, Idaho, Montana, and Wisconsin explicitly disavowed the use of any grant funding to promote or implement red flag laws, since they do not have such laws on the books. These 3 states appear to be the only states without red flag laws that are clearly in compliance with the requirements enacted by the 117th Congress. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this right here in this letter, I'm telling you, it is spicy. They actually point out the other states that are actually not in compliance and that don't have red flag laws, like Kansas, Minnesota, West Virginia, Guam, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. So These are all states that have received funds for the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act funding. They've received the funding, but yet there's nothing on their books saying that they even have a red flag law program or anything like that. And they also haven't met the minimum requirements, as well as a lot of other states haven't met those minimum requirements. But here we are. You get $1 and you get $1 and you get $1, except it's actually thousands and millions of dollars. Pretty crazy, right? I mean, this is just straight up breaking the law. And where do you guys actually think that this money is originally coming from? I mean, it's pretty crazy if you ask me. If something doesn't come out of this where someone gets an actual, like, I don't know, get put behind bars or something, it's absolutely crazy, because what's going to happen once again? They're just going to get a slap on the wrist. I mean, make sure you guys share this video. Make sure people know what's going on. Also, head over to Langley Outdoors Academy, where Braden, I feel sure, has already covered this. Probably over on Second Legacy, him and Tim have probably discussed it in much further depth than I can go in here. So make sure you go over there and check those out. Also, please, 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 please leave me a comment down below. I want to know your thoughts on this. Do not forget to like and subscribe, and please have a great day.